Hey, welcome back to the channel. So I'm Shard Wheats, and this is going to be the first flight series in the PPL to ATPL. So the simulated lesson today is going to be the attitudes and movements. So we're going to be departing Moncton to the north, heading to training area 1 Charlie, that's around the Bucktush area, at or below 3,000 feet. So we're currently sitting on the apron here, and we'll start off with a little disclaimer. So I'm not actually a flight instructor, so everything you see here, everything shown is going to be for entertainment purposes only. The charts, the publications as seen on the stream are strictly for the flight simulation only. Under no circumstances is anything demonstrated herein to be used for real world flying. So as always, feel free to leave a comment or like on the stream, and I'll try to reply as quickly as I can. Alright, so for the three main objectives here for this flight, it's going to be to learn the range of attitudes through which the aircraft is normally operated. Two is going to be how the movements necessary to achieve and maintain the desired attitudes in flight are produced and controlled. And we're also going to go over the yaw and how to control adverse yaw and such. Alright, so before the stream, I actually already completed the pre-flight inspection of the aircraft. So before we get started, I'll bring up the weight and balance calculation just so you can check it out. So I'll bring that over here right now. So I didn't go over the full, I just kind of skimmed through it. I didn't go over the full arm and moment of the weights. But for the empty aircraft, we have 1,691 pounds. I put myself and I put another simulated passenger or instructor, I suppose. So it's about 415 pounds. The A20 is going to be 20 pounds for stuff in the cargo compartment. So stuff like your chocks, toes and stuff. So the zero fuel weight is going to be 26 pounds. And the fuel on board today is fuel. We're going to use 56 gallons of fuel, which is about 336 pounds. So for the taxi and the run up, it's going to be about 12 pounds that we're going to burn off. So the takeoff itself is going to be around 2,450 pounds. And the flight's going to be about an hour into the training area and back, so it's going to burn off about 72 pounds worth of fuel. So our landing weight is about 2,378 pounds when we come back. And all that is checked already with the center of gravity and the weight and balance loading form. So everything's in the green and checked. All right, so the other thing I completed here, I wrote up a pre-flight briefing card. So I'll just kind of review it right quick. So actually this is in the wrong spot there. That's not. No, there we go. So the current weather here in Moncton is actually the winds are 250 true at 12 knots, gusting 18. Temperature 16, and the dew point is 3 degrees. And the altimeter is currently 3017. So at 3,000 feet, the winds are 60 degrees true at about 11 knots. So for the aircraft here, we're going to be using the Cessna 172 Skyhawk. It's Foxtrot Uniform Whiskey Lima, but I actually have the Walker livery installed right now. So there's no snag or deferral for this plane, so everything's checked out okay. The phase inspection is good. The airtime for the next inspection is about 21 and a half hours. And again, the weight and balance calculation, the limits for takeoff and landing are within limits. So those are good. So the calculated takeoff distance, I just did a basic one. I didn't really go too in depth with it, but it's about 995 feet required for the takeoff run. And on return, the landing distance is about 585 feet. So for runway 29, that's what we're going to plan to take off. The headwind component is 12 knots, and we're going to have a left crosswind of 3 knots. So we'll verify that on the taxi out with the windsocks, just to make sure that nothing changed. All right, so the next one down is the pre-flight inspection's already been complete. I did that before the stream. Fuel on board is 56 US gallons, and that gives us an endurance of about 5.5 hours worth of fuel. Uh, Oil quantity is verified at 6.6 quarts. And that's actually simulated here in the sim. So the cowling inlet and outlet baffles, they're not actually required until the temperature gets to around a pretty steady -6 degrees, so it's not really cold enough for the baffles. The next thing I got here is the flight duration. So the planned departure time is 18:45 Zulu. Now I am using live weather, and everything is live. I don't have ATC. I don't have VATSIM traffic for this flight. The time itself is actually back an hour because I didn't expect it to take 4 hours to do all the flight planning and stuff. But that's all right. Live and learn. So the estimated duration of this flight is going to be about 60 minutes. So by the time we start up here, do the run up, take off, fly out to the training area and go over just the basic maneuvers, um, and then the return, it'll be about 60 minutes or so. So the ETA, the destination, which is back here at the Moncton Flight College, is going to be 20 Zulu, but again, the time isn't live right now, so don't worry too much about that. So verify sufficient fuels on board. We do have sufficient fuel for the hours flight that we're going to conduct. And then I'm going to omit the safety considerations, stuff like that. Just didn't really plan on it taking this long to actually set things up. Kind of go over the lesson plans. So the flight duty times. So students cumulative duty day is currently 4 hours for me, and that includes the pre-flight inspection, pre-flight planning and stuff. And just because I'm also going to be the simulate instructor, it's 11 hours duty day for the instructor. And the fatigue score, again, we actually have a kind of a list that we go over to actually critique that, whether it's either green, yellow, or red. I'm not going to go over that specifically right now, but everything checks out in the green, so we are good to go for the flight today. The rest of the stuff here, I'm actually going to omit all this stuff here. It just takes a few minutes. It's not hard. It wouldn't take too long, but I'll just skip that for today. All right, so that's for the pre-flight briefing card here that I set up. I'm going to go bring that back off the screen. All right. So the weight and balance is all good, and everything's calculated for the flight. Pre-flight briefing card we already went over. So the planned VFR departure. So we're going to be using today. So I'll bring that one up too, actually, while we're here. So I'm going to use the CFS Canada Flight Supplement. Now this one's actually expired here a few days ago, but again, all of these, regardless of whether they are expired or current, are not to be used for any kind of real-world operations. All right, so this is the Moncton VFR Terminal Procedures Chart. It's I don't really care, but we're going to be using the Notre Dame departure. And the next page down, it kind of goes over in verbatim kind of how the departure goes. So for Notre Dame, the departure is going to be to fly to the Notre Dame waypoint, which is up to our north near Training Area 1 Charlie and Bravo. So initially, we're going to maintain 1,500 feet until cleared higher or leaving the control zone. Now, we don't have a controller on right now because I'm not online using VATSIM for any kind of ATC. So we will maintain 1,500 until we're clear of the Class D control zone. All right, so I'll scroll down just a little bit more. So you can see the Notre Dame departure brings us up to the north. So this is, I got the route kind of drawn out here of what we're going to take. So we're going to be taking the road up to the north into the Bactouche. I don't actually know because I'm not French. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. But Training Area 1 Charlie is where we're going to go to today. Now, within this, it's actually capped at 6,000 feet, but today we're only going to be going up to about 3,000 feet because we're only just doing just kind of a basic flight maneuver today. So it's nothing too crazy. It should be quick up and down. So skip that guy. So here we go here. So this is a actual Moncton airport here, the chart for Moncton. So we're currently down here. Got my little mouse pointer. So we're currently just down here on apron 2. So once we get started here in a couple minutes, we're actually going to taxi over to our left just a little bit, and we'll do the run up for the engine. Once we're done that, we'll taxi you through Alpha. We'll hold short 2-9. We'll just complete some checklists, and then we'll take off and depart to the north. All right. So I guess with all that kind of understood, I'll take this off the screen here, and we'll actually start with our checklist here now. All right, just give me one quick second here. All right, so the checklist. So we'll get here in the aircraft. So we'll start with the before start checklist. So pre-flight inspections complete. Chocks, locks, tow bar, and cow cover is confirmed removed. Um, they are actually simulated in this 172 default. Cold weather baffles not required. Hobbs meter is over here. Normally we would record that, but because we're not actually going to fill out the second page of that pre-flight briefing card there, we don't have to write that down or anything. So the passenger brief, I'm just going to omit that for this flight, but essentially the passenger brief just kind of goes over, excuse me, just emergency kind of things within the plane. Basically, don't touch the throttle, the mixtures, and stuff like that. There should be a fire extinguisher kind of down here in between the pilot and co-pilot's seat, the passenger seat. It's not actually simulated here in this default 172, but that's all right. Another thing, so passenger brief would go over kind of how to use the doors, how to close lock the doors, the windows, and just things like that. And how to use the ELT, which is actually simulated here in the default 172. So yeah, I kind of said I would omit it, but I kind of just gave you a basic brief down of how the passenger brief goes, I guess. All right, so loose articles removed and secured. So everything in front of me is actually secured right now and good to go. Seats adjusted and locked. Seat belts secured and adjusted. Ensure the seat belt inertial reel locking is set. But of course, I don't actually have seats to kind of work with here, so we'll just say that that's all good to go. All right, doors closed and locked, left and right side. Unfortunately, in this excuse me, default aircraft, the doors and the windows aren't actually simulated, but hopefully it'll be a payware aircraft coming out soon. I'd really like that. A2A is a really good manufacturer or developer, I guess, for the 172 and GA aircraft, but they don't have the 172 in Microsoft 2020 yet, so I'm kind of waiting on that. But it's really, really, really well done. All right, next one here. Avionics master power is confirmed off. Radios and electrics, all the radios are turned off. The ADF is going to be turned on when the master power switch is off. It's more of a um, kind of an internal 172 thing, so you can change like your turn on the realism for different things in the aircraft. All uh, well, the switches all work, and so do the circuit breakers. The circuit breakers all work in this plane too. It's pretty cool. So it does actually simulate the wheel chocks, peel cover, tie downs, and cow plugs. So you can take those in, take them off. State saving is pretty cool. So it actually saves the state that the aircraft was in when you're finished with it. Trim tab. In the back of the 172, there's a rudder trim. It's something that actual maintenance would do. So it's not something that a pilot would actually do, but it's actually simulated here too, and it's pretty neat. All right, so we'll skip all that stuff there. All right, so radios, electrics are all off. Circuit breakers are down here. They are again simulated, and those are all off. Elevator trim, manually check the set. So I'll go ahead and I'll set that for the takeoff position. That's this guy down here. Takeoff position. All right, flight controls. Full left, full right, full aft, full forward. Flight controls check free. There's no resistance. Fuel selectors on both. That's the guy down here. Fuel shut off down there also, and it is in. Brakes are tested and set. Alright, so the engines start with battery. So beacon on, flaps are retracted, throttle open a 1/4 inch. Mixtures, idle cutoff, master switch on. Alright, so it's actually warm out right now, so we're going to omit steps 6, 7, and 8. And that's just to prime the engine with fuel using the auxiliary fuel pump. So we'll go ahead and we'll skip that one there. So prop area clear, so we'll check left, right, make sure there's nobody outside. Now this, we would normally open the window and verbally call out prop clear, but that's not simulated here, so we'll skip that step. Alright, so next guys, so the ignition switch to the start position. Alright. Alright, so oil pressure is rising, nav lights go on, and throttle's at about 1,000 RPM here. Alright, so before taxi checklist, so fuel selector, left tank, avionics master switch, turn on, radios, we can go ahead and turn those all on. There we go. So all the nav equipment and the communications equipment there is turned on. Alright, so the computer power function test for the autopilot. So that was the beep that you just heard. So that verifies the autopilot is on. Next thing, so flash and barrel. So I already have it actually set to 3017. That's the altimeter. So we'll go ahead and confirm that that's set. So 3017. So flash and barrel setting set, autopilot engaged. So we're going to turn on the autopilot. And the idea here, it shouldn't actually be manipulating the trim by itself here on the ground. So that's kind of a little quirk, I guess, of the default aircraft. But whatever. Flight control, so move in all directions. So left, right. Now you didn't actually see the control column move left to right on screen. I think it's just another quirk of the sim, but nonetheless, what we're checking for is to make sure that we can physically overpower the autopilot itself. So we'll go ahead, full in, full out, and then next step is going to be to disengage the autopilot, and we're going to hear the disconnect tone. Alright, so over to step 10, so elevator trim set for takeoff, so we'll go ahead and set that for takeoff. We are actually a little bit kind of tail heavy, so I'm actually going to set... No, actually that's fine, we'll keep it where it's at. Alright, the alternate static check, so there we go, pull that out, push it back in. So between the cabin, so the alternate static source, basically what it does is it disconnects the external static source and uses the internal one. So there's one just right under the front passenger's seat, or not seat, the legs, the feet. So the alternate static pressure is open under here. And so basically what it does, it just gives another way in case there's a blockage in the main pressure source, static pressure on the outside. So when you do actually do that, a lot of the times, especially in the real airplane, the vertical speed will actually kind of flicker. And the reason is because the inside cabin temperature is actually typically different than the external ambient temperature. And those pressure differences will make the vertical speed indicator fluctuate. Alright, so the next guy here's the flight instruments set. So we're just going to make sure that the heading indicator, that's the... So this guy right here in the bottom center with the six-pack, the T, is set, and kind of is confirmed by the magnetic compass. So that's set and confirmed, good to go. The ATIS, so I'll go ahead and we'll listen to the ATIS. And here I'm mounting the ATIS frequency is 128.65, so we'll go ahead and we'll turn that on. We'll just have a listen to that.
Moncton Airport information, Quebec 2000 Zulu. Wind 267 at 12. Visibility, 9er. Sky condition, few clouds at 6,400 feet, few clouds at 13,800
Alright, so now that we have Quebec there, we've heard the direction of the winds and the temperature as well. But also the most important thing, well, not the most important thing, but one of the most, goodness, one of the important things is the altimeter. And we can see that is 3017, and I actually have that set on the altimeter scale already. Alright, next one, Yankee 48. So we don't actually have ATC online right now, so we'll skip that one. But Yankee 48 is the Multi-Flight College's dispatch. So that's this guy here. It's 123.5, but we don't have to simulate talking to them right now just because I'm not going to do any radio procedure for this flight. And next one, ATC clearance as required. So again, ATC is not online, and we don't have simulated traffic because we're not flying on VATSIM right now, so I'm not actually going to simulate any radio procedure for this flight. Right, and the last one here, altimeter, clock, and transponder. So the altimeter is set with 3017 for the altimeter. Clock is going to be incorrect because it's not actually. Nope, there we go. Yeah, so we're about an hour behind, which is good. All right, transponder. So we have we're squawking 3143, so we'll use that just for this flight. And we don't, like I said, we don't have ATC online, so they're not going to give us squawk code for this flight, so we'll use that one for now. All right, so the next thing is the electric trim. So I'll bring up the yoke here. So the electric trim is this guy here. So basically, we're going to do a function test. Function test, not chest. Function test. Goodness, I can't speak. And I'm just going to read it verbatim right from the sheet here. So push the left-hand trim switch forward to the down position and hold. Confirm elevator trim wheel is not moving, and then release the switch. Pull left-hand trim switch to the up position and hold. Confirm elevator trim wheel is not moving. Confirm. Push right-hand switch forward to the down position and hold. Confirm the elevator trim is not moving. And again, pull right-hand switch aft to the up position and hold. Confirm the elevator trim is not moving. Then release the switch. And verify the right red PR light above the autopilot button, which I don't actually see happening, but that's fine. Cool, that's fine. And then the final step, so simultaneously push the both left and right trim switches forward, and then aft, and visually confirm that the elevator trim wheel movement is moving. And we can see down here that it is. Perfect. Alright, so the taxi checklist. Alright, so flight controls. We'll deflect for the wind. Actually, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to, on my heading indicator here, I'm going to bug out 270. 270. So that's where the wind's coming from. So I'm going to deflect the flight controls into the wind, which is to the left side for taxi area. Right, so the taxi area will confirm clear, so we'll look left and right. We'll do a brake check once we start rolling. The steering, same thing, we'll do a steering check, and we'll check flight instruments. Right, so left is clear, right is clear, parking brake is off. Just give it a little bit of throttle here until we start moving, then we'll do a brake check. Right, the brakes are tested and checked. Alright, so for the steering and the flight instruments, basically what we want to do, we're going to taxi up just to that first building over there before, and then we'll do our run-up check. But for the steering and flight instrument check, what we want to do is we want to make a left and right turn. And we just want to see some things working correctly. So one of the things, so we'll go ahead, we'll take a left turn here. So we can see on our turn coordinator there, the airplane, superimposed airplane is turning to the left, and the ball is turning to the right. We'll make a right turn, the airplane turns to the right on the turn coordinator, and the ball goes to the left. We can also see a turn indicated clockwise and counterclockwise on the heading indicator, so that's good and verified. Alright, so we're just going to pull up here just a little bit more. We'll turn into the wind, so let's go 270 degrees, and then we'll start do our run. Alright, so we're going to stop here. We're going to put the parking brake on. Alright, so right now I do actually see an indication of a rough running engine. So it is actually simulated here in the 172 default. The spark plug fouling. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to put it up to about 1800 RPM just for the time being. We're going to pull the checklist and we'll lean out the mixture there just to let that come. So I find it's simulated here, but it is extremely excessive. So I mean, this could happen literally after taxiing for just a few minutes, as we will see. So it is at a very rapid, not really true to life. But nonetheless, we're here in more of a training environment, so it's kind of good that it actually does happen, I suppose. Alright, so we'll just wait here for just about a minute. Alright, so the RPM's starting to stabilize there now. Alright, sweet, so I'll bring it back to about 1000 RPM. And then we'll start the engine run-up checklist here. Alright, so the parking brake is set, passenger seats upright, seatbelts checked and secured, flight controls full left, full right, full left, full forward, check free, fuel quantity, that's over here on the left side there, so the fuel quantity is 56 gallons, 53 usable. So that's checked, mixture, full rich. Alright, fuel selector is going to be on the right tank for this portion of the check. Alright, throttle up to 1800 RPM. Alright, so for this one here, we're not actually going to go, well, we're going to go step by step on the engine run-up checklist, but I'm not going to go over in detail kind of what we're looking for, how we're doing it, and why. We'll do that in a different scene. But for now, I'm just going to get up in the air and get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we'll do the throttles up to 1800 RPMs, ignition switch, so we're going to check the ignition system. For our wind drop, good. Reset the brake switch, our wind drop. So basically we're just trying to make sure that the RPM doesn't drop more than 150 RPM. And between the two magneto systems, there's a maximum differential of right, so the vacuum gauge, we're going to check that, and it's in the green, so 5.5 is normal for the suction. Engine instruments, so the temperatures and pressures are good in the green, so the pressure's good, temperature's rising. Ammeter is showing positive rate of charge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load the electrical system with the manual lights. We're going to see that there should not be a discharge in the electrical system. Great, so it doesn't have to change, that's good. Go ahead and turn those over. Another thing I like to do too is I actually like to turn the alternator off. And what we're going to see is the ammeter is going to show a discharge. Like this. Turn it back around, so that means the alternator is working as it's. Right, and that's over here. So check it here, make sure that there's two reds, and all the lights are out. Alright, throttle down to idle. So we're going to go ahead and check the idle jet. Idle jet is checked up to 1000 RPM. And fuel selector back on both. Alright, engine run-up checklist is complete. Alright, so the next guy here before takeoff checklist. Alright, so the throttle friction lock is adjusted and secured. Fuel selector is confirmed on both. Fuel shutoff is confirmed in and on. Mixture full rich. Master switch is on. Ignition switch is both. Trim is set for takeoff. Flight controls. Full left, full right, full left, full forward. Flight controls check free. Wind direction confirmed. So when we taxi out to runway 29, there's a wind sock out there, so we'll go ahead and we'll check the winds just to make sure and verify the right direction. Radio set frequency and transmit, so we're not going to be using the radios today. Taxi route, visualize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'm going to bring up the taxi chart here. Alright, so we're currently over here on apron 2, so what we're going to do is taxi up to the right on alpha, and then we're going to hold short 29, and then we'll complete the rest of the before takeoff checklist. Alright, so I'll go ahead and minimize that. Again, check left, check right. Alright, so park brakes off, so now we're going to go ahead and taxi out to runway 29. Alright, so again, we're going to have our control column ailerons into the wind, or set for the wind conditions. And it's, of course, right now it's behind us at our left side. And it's going to be on the right side here. So. Alright, so during the taxi, we want to try to keep below about 10 knots for the taxi speed. And we'll get on the center line here, and we'll taxi up to the end of the elevator. Alright, so the flight controls are deflected for the wind. On the taxi here, I just like to verify, just kind of keep an indication on the temperatures and pressures, just to indicate any abnormalities before the takeoff. Alright, one part of the checklist that I actually skipped was the takeoff and emergency brief. I wasn't really going to do it, but I guess I'll do that here now. So our taxi speed is about 12 knots, so I'll slow down just a little bit. And we'll do just a kind of rudimentary takeoff and departure brief here. Alright, so it's going to be a normal takeoff from runway 29. The winds are currently 270, so therefore the aileron control input is going to be to the left during the takeoff roll. So the airspeed alive is going to be at 40 knots. VR rotate is going to be at 55. The initial climb speed of 74 best rate. So if if the aircraft is not airborne by a beam of the Monkey Flight College, and that's just behind us here to our right side, I'm going to abort the takeoff and I'll make a radio call. But again, the radio call is not going to be required because we don't have ATC on. Alright, so in the event of an emergency affecting the safety of flight during the takeoff roll, I'm going to reduce the power to idle and stop straight ahead. If airborne without enough, choking over my words here. If airborne with enough runway remaining, I'll maintain control and I'll land straight ahead. I had to drink some water there. My throat's going crazy under here. So we'll pick off where we left off there. So if airborne without enough runway remaining, we'll make general control inputs as necessary to avoid any obstacles. We can make a right turn out to the runway 24, runway 11. We also have the Trans-Canada to our north as well, if worst case. So in the event of a non-critical emergency, I'll continue the takeoff to about 1,000 feet AGL, and I'll read and carry out the appropriate actions from the emergency procedures checklist. And some further departure brief. So the routing, again, we plan to take the Notre Dame departure. It's going to be a right turn off of runway 29. However, the tower could change that, but again, the tower's not online, so we'll disregard that point. So the altitude, so I'm planning the initial climb to about 1,500 feet as per the CFS Notre Dame VFR departure, until we're cleared of the Class D control zone here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop right here right quick. We'll finish out the checklist here. Alright, so before takeoff checklist, holding short So the time we're going to record, and change the clock here back to local. So I want. So it's 0603. So we'll break that down. Compass and heading indicator. We'll verify that once we line up. So we'll say we're cleared to line up now. So the transponder will go on to alt. Wind, taxi lights, strobes, the wind direction. We can confirm the wind sock. I guess we have two of them. So the wind's as confirmed by the IPS. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll taxi out onto runway 29 and we'll take it off. So just do a quick check to the right, it's cleared, and we'll say the quick check to the left, so it's cleared as well. Alright, so everything's set for takeoff here. We're going to line up on 29 and we'll get set for Alright, so we're good to go. So 1, 2, 3, power set. Rudders to direct. Temperature, pressure in the green, airspeed, quad, so we'll go ahead and take a left turn into the wind there, so we're going to direct, climb. So right now, there's a little bit of right rudder to correct the average yaw from slipstream to propeller to get feedback there, it's called. So we'll climb up here, just adjust this a little bit more, try to maintain that 74 knots. Alright, so once we get to the threshold of the runway 2, towards the end of runway 29, we'll make a right turn out towards the ready to go. So we start our little turn here off to the right side, just a little right rudder, gentle turn, keep that speed. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and follow this dual highway here, just up to the northeast here, about 0.040 minutes here, and then we'll turn. Alright, so skip the climb checklist just for a minute. We're going to hold that checklist. We're almost at about 1,500 feet, so we're going to level out here. So we're going to level out here at 1,500 feet. Pressure procedure. Put the airspeed increase and power back, throttle back to about 20 feet. Very sweet. So I'll trim out here for about 1,500 feet. So the climb checklist there. We'll go ahead and do that. So the mixture rich pitch attitude is as required. Throttle set full. That was already complete. Now we're on time for level off setting. Trim percent engine pitch width when is already free. Flaps are up, wind, lights off. We're going to keep all the lights on for all of our lights. And then the next thing, so engine cowlings. You want to check and make sure that there's no oil kind of leaking from the engine, but anyways, engine cowling is good. can climb up to about 3,000 feet here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the attitude first so we can start to climb. I want to pitch for about 90 knots. I'm doing a cruise climb up to about 3,000 feet. Alright, so there's about 90 knots, so I'll go throttle full. Just going to trim out the control forces here and climb up to 3,000 feet. So it's a good habit to get into during climbs and well, during climbs and turns, but specifically kind of doing climbs. The nose, the altitude is really high, so you can't actually really see out in front of us. It's best you should. So it's good over 500 feet or so to just kind of dip the nose down. So if you're look out, just make sure there's no aircraft or anything coming straight on. So that beat that you just heard there is the altitude alert. So we have in the autopilot set for 3,500. But we're actually only going to go up to 3,000 feet. We're coming up over about 200 feet to go. We're up to 3,000 feet now. We're going to go ahead and bring those down. I'm not going to adjust the trim or throttle just yet. We're going to let the just increase to increase boost. It's roughly right about here. So we'll go ahead and bring back the throttle to the in. And trim out to 3,000 feet for So we're almost coming up on Notre Dame waypoint. So it's right up here ahead of us there, just past that river. Once we get past that, we're going to be into area 1 Bravo. Just up past that, probably about 4 or 5 minutes to area 1 Charlie. So that's where we're going to start our flight with for Since we're at our top altitude here, I'm actually going to go over the cruise checklist here. So the cruise checklist, hit that to set for cruise. I'm just going to trim on just a bit. Throttle set for cruise is at about 2,300 RPMs. Trim as required is set. Mixture is as required. So I moved out the mixture just a little bit. Like I said, I find that the spark plug fouling kind of happens at a very rapid rate in this sim. So I moved it out just a little bit there. Engine instruments checked. So we just want to look over and make sure that the temperatures and pressures are still clean. It's a good habit to get into, but always kind of look out to your check. So you want to look left, you want to look right, you want to make sure that you want to keep a kind of visual outside the cockpit primarily most of the time. So we're starting to see some here. So you just want to keep a lookout for, well, one, for clouds and stuff like that, but two, you want to look out for other air traffic. This, especially VFR, not a lot of people that are on frequency. Well, that would be on the frequency that you're on. The en route frequency is short, but it's a good one. Not everybody uses the radio like they should. So So it's always good to keep a lookout. Lookout. So let's grab here. Alright, so we're just leaving the monkeys. Well, we're almost out of the monkey plastic airspace there. But we are inside the altitude, so we would be pretty fast. So I'll go ahead, I'll take that off there. We're almost into the area that we have to work. I gotta say something you can't beat is what software. Visual is so interesting. I honestly don't get bored of seeing it. Alright, so we're almost up to 1 Charlie there. Yes, some basic things that we have to know. Could be just kind of this lesson knowledge. So what we want to do is for the aircraft attitude relative to the horizon. So you want to look out basically. It's kind of hard to simulate in the simulator. But what you would actually do is you hold out your hand in front of you, and you'd want to see about 4 fingers worth of between the Callan or the dash of your airplane to where the horizon is. So between basically here to it's about 1/3 ground that you would see in front of you, and about 2/3 sky. But yeah, so it looks good. So, it's about a normal cruise attitude. And again, if you look out to your left too, you can see kind of where your wing is in relation to the horizon. It's pretty much parallel. Left side and right side. The indications in the cockpit, you can see. Now you are a VFR pilot, so you're not technically supposed to be looking a whole great deal of time in the cockpit on your instruments because you're not autopilot. The one thing you can kind of take quick looks at your altitude and see that it's not increasing or decreasing at all. Vertical speed down here fluctuates a little bit. That's because it's not trim perfectly. But you can see that you're not increasing or decreasing the rate of climb or descent there. When you're in level flight, you can see that your turn coordinator fixed airplane is level. So it's not it's not turning left, not turning right. You can see your heading indicator is indicating straight and level. So it's not indicating turn to the left or to the right. And also you can look at your artificial horizon here too. Superimposed little airplane figure kind of thing is level with the horizon. It's not showing any climb or any turn or descent. So pretty much with this attitude here, we have basically your RPMs are set at 2300. They're trimmed out to basically straight up. And again, you can check the left and right and kind of see where you get kind of a reference data of where your wings are in relation to the horizon on here. So. This is area 1 Charlie if you look at training areas. So we're going to be working around here. It'll only be probably about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. It's not going to be too long. Basically, we're just going to go over kind of basic maneuvers. So I kind of already went over your kind of reference data where your head, your engine cowling should be with your dash in relation to the lines in front. But also, like I said, relation with the wings to the horizon. So the range of kind of pitch attitudes that you would use in normal flights, it's kind of in here. So it's between level flight of about 20 degrees. So you have your I did 0 to 10 degrees, 20 degrees, goes up, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, goes down. You get your brake indicators here. 10, 20, 30, you get your 45 degree, you get your 60 degree, you get your 90. So we're going to go ahead, we're almost at the end of one Charlie, so we're going to go ahead and turn around. So what we're going to do is we're going to take we're going to check get kind of the reference data for your turns and legs. So the normal turn, general turn is about 15 degrees mark. It's a standard rate turn. So you want to do a turn to the left here, heading back to the low south. So basically what you want to see is you want to see the kind of angle between the horizon and the dash. And you can see on the left side there that the wing's kind of low. On the right side it's high in relation to the horizon. You can also see the indications of your heading indicator there turning to the left. It's decreasing in numbers. So that's an indication as well. Another indication is like that compass. You can look up and see that's indicating a turn. To the left in this case. So we'll turn to the south here. Left light is headed. To do your turns and stuff, basically you're using your ailerons to do your left and right turns. So we'll go ahead and we'll turn back to the right and do another standard right turn to the right to about north heading. And look at the same opposite indications, basically what we said. So we'll do a standard right turn here. Good. Alright, so we're turning to the right here. You can see the relationship between the horizon and the dash. You can also see the left side now, the horizon and wind is much further apart. And the same thing with the right side. You can see the right wing is kind of pointing towards the nearest line of the next one. So the range of bank attitudes, normal flight they'll use between 1 degree and 30 degrees. Any more than that, it's kind of getting into a little bit advanced turns and maneuvers. But yeah, like I said, the elevators, some of the ailerons are what turns. The next thing we'll do here is the pitch movement. So pitch is going to be controlled by the elevators in the back, so it's an aft forward motion of the full column. So when we pitch up, actually go ahead and use the power just a little bit, and then we're going to go close down just a little bit here. So you can see when your attitude is towards the ground, you can see that you're in descent. And one common way to kind of look at that is you can see that the ground is a lot more kind of invisible or in relation to your edge. Same thing, the left, the right wing. You see the angle between the wing and the horizon and down, left side and right side. Your airspeed is no increase right now because I throttled back slightly and I also trimmed out a bit. One thing you can see is you can see that your vertical speed is showing decrease in weight, 700 unit right now. Your altitude is also decreasing. Counterclockwise rotation showing a decrease in altitude. So about 2,500 feet, so we'll go ahead and level off. We go back to about 2,300 RPM, and do the opposite of that, so we can climb. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the nose control column, so we're going to go back. So you can see that the relationship between the dash and the horizon is now less. So you can see a lot more sky than you can ground in front of you. So that's one indication that you're climbing, because you don't have that one-third ground in front. Another indication is your altitude is actually showing an increase clockwise. So that's increasing. And again, your vertical speed is also increasing as well. So it's showing you a 500 foot increase. And the airspeed is decreasing because we haven't adjusted our throttle to where it should be. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll nose down to a level latitude. Nice, we'll increase the speed. Again, we're going to level off about 3,000 feet. Bring the speed back to about 100 miles. Slow flight is also a lesson that we're going to go over. But one thing you can see too is when your airspeed is low, you have a higher angle of attack on your plane. So you'll see that the pull back the throttle here. When you're going slow, the relative angle of the airplane is typically a lot higher. So again, you'll see a lot less. It will almost indicate climb because you see a lot less ground in the sky. But that's not the lesson. We're going to flight direction. Right, so next thing we're going to do, so a normal attitude too is when you're climbing left turns, climbing right turns, descending left turns, descending right turns. So we can go ahead and we can do that right now. So we'll do another descent left turn towards the south. So we'll go down, pull nose down here. You can see that your vertical speed is decreasing, altitude is decreasing. And we're also going to take a turn to the left. So you can trim out, turn to maneuver, and then let off the control column. Trimmed out, so you should be staying about where you set. So your attitude is your desired altitude. So you can see that right now we're descending. The attitude indicator showing the descending left turn. Altitude is decreasing. Vertical speed is showing decreasing speed. The heading indicator as well is counterclockwise, showing the same with the turn coordinator. The airplane is showing up here. So turn to heading, south heading, and we'll increase the attitude up here. And we'll level off at about 2,500. Always remember the term attitude plus power equals performance. So the performance that we desire is well, we want to climb, and we also want a, in this case, we're going to climb the right turn. So we're able to perform that. So pull back on the control yoke, control column. We let the speed, we don't know what speed we want. So we'll say we want about 90 knots. So we'll go ahead and just stay at 90 knots, increase the RPM. Make the right turn, stay with the turn, to where they again, so you can see that the altitude is now increasing. Airplane. So we're almost back to 3,000 feet less. see that the vertical speed is increasing. The heading indicators is looking clockwise direction, showing the turn to the right. And our turning right indicator showing the turn to the right. So this time we'll actually climb up to about 2,500 feet at northern wind. So we're on our north heading, so we'll go ahead and go to level. We still want to climb up to 900 feet, so we'll go ahead and keep this at those high altitude. So we're at 3,500 feet on the north heading desired, so we're going to go with the nose. The attitude is going to be the boost level here. So we're going to trim out continuously until our airspeed is up to about 100 knots a minute. Pull back the throttle to about 23. Alright, sweet. So that's the basic maneuvers for the climbing, descending, left and right turn. Kind of the reference data. Or the indications that you get visually outside the cockpit. Alright, so we'll go ahead and turn back towards the airport. So yeah, we'll keep the turn going to the left. We'll go to the south direction to about 180. Follow that road back to the waypoint. So we'll go ahead and level out here now. Our speed to trim out about 2,500 feet. That's great. Alright, so we'll get the descent checklist ready here. Go over it just quite yet. Alright, so I'll go ahead and I'll bring up the CFS there for the arrival. So again, we're going to do the Notre Dame arrival. So let's roll that up here. So that's going to be the opposite of what we do. So we're right over about here right now. So we're going to fly over here. We're going to descend down to about 2,500 feet. Inbound towards Mountain. We'll check the ATIS on the way, but we're going to plan for runway 29. So we'll join the circuit for runway 29. We'll cross, actually, we're going to cross midfield, join downwind for 29. Alright, so we'll scroll down, switch to confirm our flight procedures. So the arrival for the Notre Dame is to fly directly to the limit. It's going to be about 2,500. We'll maintain 2,500 feet, so we're just about at the control zone delta. Once we're there, we'll descend about 1,500 feet over the airport, join the left down. We'll come back. So we're going to come in just about here. About midfield here, we're going to be at about 1,700 to 1,800 feet. And we'll descend down to circuit pattern altitude here in downwind. We'll make a left down 29, and then we'll look at so we'll plan to exit on Bravo and then taxi back into Alright, so I'll go ahead and I'll take that away. So we can start our descent here shortly. So we'll go ahead and start. So we'll do the descent here. Alright, so we'll take back about 2100 RPMs. And we'll do kind of a cruise descent here to about 2000. Alright, so I'm just trimming out for about 500 foot descent rate. Alright, and we'll do the descent checklist here. Alright, so throttle is as required between towards the next control rates, the altimeter, second, 30 second. But we're going to get the ACE once we get to the next guide to the select here. Looks like we're both trim as required. It's almost set for descent rate. So it's starting to get a little bit dark right now. That's fine. So the airport's right over there. To our 2 o'clock. We're going to fly over here just past the Cheyenne Bridge. Where's that Cheyenne? Yeah, so we're just going to fly right over to that bridge there, stay at about 2,500 feet, and then we'll go back and down towards the up on our desired altitude here, 2,500 feet. So we'll go up, and we'll go back to about 2,300 RPM. Turn up for 2,500. Very sweet. So after we hit the just over the top of the bridge there, we'll take the right turn to that. So it's almost been about 40 minutes here. Didn't exactly go over everything that I wanted to. And I don't find I'm very good at talking either. Like, I'm not a very good talking person. So one of the reasons kind of why I'm doing this channel or why I'm doing this is I want to get more, a little bit more vocal. I want to be able to talk a little bit more, be able to explain things more. I don't know, I just find it's kind of a good way for myself to kind of learn. Communication, a little more verbalizing. I'm pretty good at it. Alright, so we'll go ahead, we'll take the right turn into about 220 degrees. Fly straight over. So we'll do our in-range check right now as well. So the ATIS, so we'll go ahead and tune 1%. ATIS. Do something a little bit more than the ATIS is 12865, so we'll go ahead.
Lupton Airport information, Romeo 2100 Zulu. Wind 277 at 7. Visibility, 9er. Sky condition, cube clouds at 4,800 feet, cube clouds at 13,800 feet. Temperature, 15. Dew point, 1 tree. Altimeter tree 0.20. ILS runway 29er in use. Landing and departing runway 29er. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Romeo.
Alright, so we'll say that we have Romeo there. The winds are a little bit calmer now, and the altimeter is actually just say 3020. So it's at about 3020 altimeter. Again, we're going to fly in here and down to 2,500 feet. A little bit below it, so it's 500 feet. But that's alright. So once we hit the Class D control zone, we descend down to about 1,800 feet. That'll be 500 feet over the circle altitude. So we'll cross midfield at that altitude, and then we'll descend down to the circle path. At about 100 knots right now, so I'm going to descend at about 500 feet per minute. I'm going to adjust the RPM just slightly there, but not a whole lot. We let the airspeed go just because we have quite a bit now. So we're going to descend down to 1,800 feet per second. As we cross midfield over Moncton, we'll descend down to about 1,200 feet, 28,000 feet over there. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep the gears check there. So the ATIS and the plans are already received. Check the altimeter, 3020 is set, radios are set. The first brief I kind of already did that already, so that's go. And the lights, again, for all the training flights out, the new lights, all the lights, so manual lights actually. Snap lights, strobe lights, and don't so we're going to come on, loading to 100 feet here, so we'll go ahead and let go. So we'll raise the nose just slightly for our normal attitude for a straight flight. And I'm going to trim out the full forces there for that 0 per minute. Perfect speed. So I don't know why it's actually hard to trim out the sim, but I kind of find it. But I could just, yeah, just not get good as they say. Alright, so we'll turn a little bit more direct here. Fly overhead Moncton Airport, 1,800 feet. And once we hit the midfield, descend down to 1,200. And same thing like I mentioned earlier too, I wasn't doing it here like I should be. For every 500 feet descent, you should be checking the throttle. So you should be increasing the throttle just a little bit to increase the right gear. And basically, you just want to make sure that everything's still working, that you still have that power available. The last thing you want is to have get down, low to the ground, and not have that power there to keep it flying. So it's always good to do a little clear. So keep that in mind next time and try to stick with it. Alright, so we're almost coming over the Trans-Canada Highway. Pretty sure we're not there yet, but I'm just going to pretend that we're still before the silver twilight. So technically we're legal as well. But I do like black anyway. times 4. It's pretty nice. Usually pretty relaxed. I find there's not a whole lot of turbulence at night. Things are a little more stable. And I like lights too. It's really cool. So the sunset, sunrise. The city looks really nice. But, also, like I said, 2020 just can't. It looks so nice. X-Plane's nice. P3D. I use P3D a lot. That was my flight simulator of choice for many years. You know, and it looked really good too. Don't get me wrong, but just Microsoft. I had 2024, but I didn't find it was kind of at the point where I want it just yet, and Chase Plane is not supported yet either. So I think in the next few months, once everything kind of gets moving, as they say, I might switch over to that because it looks really pretty too. It's all right, so we're midfield at 2.9 right now, so we'll go ahead and we'll descend down to pattern altitude for a certain height. It's about 1200. Or altitude. So all the while we're doing this, we should be looking to our right, looking to our right, just kind of keeping check out for planes or anything like this. So you always want to do that. It's like that see and avoid kind of thing. It's not everyone, well, just like us right now, we're not using the radios. So not everybody uses it as they should. So we'll keep the descent going for about another 100 feet. We're going to make a left turn there to we're going to do our before landing checklist once we let go. We'll go ahead down here. We're almost to the threshold. Actually, let's keep going outbound just a little bit more. We'll go over the port. Just a little bit there, trim it. Alright, so we'll go ahead, we'll trim out here. Alright, so before landing checklist here, so pilot and passenger seats are operating secure. Seat belts, secure. Locked. Engine gauges, so the temperature pressure is running green. Back in this 5.5. So picture full which. Use the switches on both. Full selectors on both. Distance and then tone. So once we hit the crossover Transcare the highway here, 15 seconds or so, make our left base there. So we'll start our left turn on the base leg. Same thing like always too. We want to keep a lookout, preferably over the dash, not so much on our cables. And we're always looking for that 1/3 ground, 2/3 sky. And the reference to them kind of the relationship between the dash and the last. And wind is pretty low. Next, there's runway 29, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn base. So we'll turn final here just shortly. So we'll go ahead and make our left turn here now. pushed out just a tiny bit, but we're not going to increase our turning rate. We're going to just maintain about a standard return. So we'll track that center line. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to profile back a little bit for the RPMs. Keep raising the nose as the airspeed gets off there, so under 110 flaps and airspeed checks. And under 85, speed check flap 20. Pitch for about just about 7 knots there, pretty decent. Down just a little bit. So we'll use the attitude for the speed, the airspeed, the pitch for about 7 knots, and improve on from there. And I'll use the RPM to maintain descent, which is about 500 feet. Just below here, it is going to start getting a little bit bumpy, so we're going to clear for that. Go ahead and try to track the center line. Just going to completely 10 that it's still daylight. That's all right. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and nose down just a little bit more. I'm going to increase the RPMs there to maintain perfect speed about 5 minutes. So we'll go ahead and go full flaps 30. So under 85, speed checks flaps 30. We're going to have to the attitude there a little bit, increase our RPMs just to account for that increase here. They're getting a little bit low here, so what we'll do is we'll increase the RPMs a little bit more. For about the 1,200 foot markers there. It's the two big white markers. So we're going to aim for that. Try to touch it on there. And a little bit right center, but just go over a little more. Again, we're a little bit over it, but that's fine. Alright, so we're going to go flaps up here just to decrease our lift. I'm not going to use as much brake right now. We're still building these from the taxiway. So we'll go ahead and we'll increase our PMs there just to get up to the taxiway battle. Which is just coming up here. I find that rudder control on the default 172 is kind of lacking. Kind of all over the place right now, that's fine. Alright, so we'll go ahead and maintain about 1,000 RPMs. We'll keep the speed going. Alright, so we're on taxiway Bravo here. Almost now. So we'll go ahead and slow down. So we want about 10 knots for taxi speed. A lot slower. Alright, landing lights, taxi lights, strobe lights are off. Well, I guess we'll keep the taxi light on. Yeah, okay. And the transponder there is on standby. Alright, so the after landing checklist here, we'll go ahead and get on the center line here. Alright, so the after landing checklist, ATC clearance, not required. Landing surface taxiway is cleared. Aircraft stop, not required. Transponders on standby. Time, we'll record now. Lights as required, the taxi lights on because we're flying a little bit illegally right now. Flaps are retracted, peel heat is off. After landing checklist is complete. Alright, so we're going to go up and we're going to keep taxiing here on Alpha, and then we'll pull into the multi-foot college apron here over at apron 2. Alright, so we'll pull up just a little bit more here, and then we'll come to a stop and we'll do the engine shutdown checklist. I'm going a little bit faster than I should be on the apron, but that's alright. Right, so we'll go ahead and set the park right there, and we'll do the engine shutdown and security aircraft checklist. Alright, so park and brake is set. Now radios, we'll go ahead and turn those off. So navigation's off. Transponder and ADF. All other excuse me, all other electrical equipment is off. Avionics is coming off. Switches are all off. Right, throttle's down. We'll check idle. Ignition switch. I can't simulate this in here um, because when I do it, actually turns off the propeller of the engine. Um, but we'll just pretend that we're simulating that. All right, so the ignition switch off and then both. So we want to just make sure that basically that check is to make sure that there's no live mags. All right, so throttle back up to 1,000 RPM and make sure idle cut off. All right, ignition switch off, keys out, master switch off, hops meter. So we would record that right now, but we're going to disregard that for now. Control locks not simulated. Tie downs are simulated, but we're not in the parking position that we want to be at, so we'll keep those off. Chocks and cow covers as required. All right, so that's for that flight there. Not too bad. All right. All right, so that was basically my first time kind of recording everything and talking. So it's still something I got to work on. It's not definitely not perfect. There's a lot more that I kind of wanted to go over, but I was taking a little bit longer than I wanted to too. So I skipped a little bit of stuff, um, but that's all right. We had a little bit of fun there. So all right, so I think we'll end it there. Just gonna go over my little checklist here. Yep, so everything's good on that. So yeah, like I said, I didn't really go over everything that I wanted to go over, but I think the more that I do this, the more quicker that I'll be with kind of speaking about things and coming up with things at the top of my head. But for right now, I'm kind of a novice at talking, so I'll work on that, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun doing all these. So I think it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna pull up right now, just for another couple minutes here. I don't want to keep the stream going just too long. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up just kind of the stuff that we'll be doing, or the things that I plan on doing, anyways. So for the PPL to ATPL, so the next flight that we're going to be doing is 1.2 straight and level. So verbatim, I'm just going to read the basically the flight lesson statement. So it's the instructor will demonstrate and the student will practice straight and level flight before progressing to lesson 1.3. So the student must be able to control the aircraft by demonstrating correct understanding through the safe operation of the aircraft without assistance from the instructor. So the instructor will demonstrate how to conduct the pre-flight inspection of the aircraft and complete necessary pre-flight paperwork, aircraft startup and taxi, use of checklists, and basic radio procedures will also be demonstrated by the instructor. And the student will observe all the steps, but no practice on their part is required. So basically, I'm going to follow that. I'm going to do through the flight instructor guide that you can find on Transport Canada. I'm going to follow that for the 1.2 straight and level. So we'll kind of go through all that stuff, just basic, and then from there, there's probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably about 7 more flights. I guess I can kind of go over them real quick. So after that, we got the general and medium turns, climbing and descending with turns, uh, climbing and descending with various airspeeds, normal takeoffs in the circuit. We'll go over flight for range, flight for endurance, do normal landings, slow flight, power off stalls, power on stalls, spins, emergency procedures, steep turns, spiral dives, slipping and skidding, and then we're going to get from there. It's just basically a little bit of time building and time practice for the circuit. So takeoff, circuits, landings, and then from there, that's pretty much everything for your PPL license. Um, Aside from ground school and all that stuff. The next one is going to be the advanced PPL training. Yeah, so kind of misspoke there. So that would get you to your first solo. Nah, my bad. So the advanced PPL training would be your again normal circuits, takeoff and landings for a bit, soft field, short fields, crosswind landings, forced approach, upper airworks. So that's your stalls, spins, stuff like that. Your forced approach, upper airwork, yada yada yada. And then illusions created by drift. It's actually pretty neat. That one. Precautionary landings, low level exercises, diversion, stuff like that. And then after all that stuff's done, we'll get into our just basic instrument procedures for like partial panel, unusual attitudes, kind of stuff like that. And then once that's all done, we get into the CPL phase. Uh, nope, I'm lying. So we'll do the night endorsement phase. So that would be basically what we're flying in right now. So the night endorsement's just probably about 7 or 8 flights, 8, 9. Yeah, it's about 12 flights or so. And then from there, we get into what's the next stuff? So phase 4, the night endorsement. Phase 5 is the commercial cross country. Where's our? See, okay. Yep. So then we start our commercial pilot stuff, and that's going to take a while. So that's going to be a lot of like cross country, and for the cross country, I think it's going to be a lot of fun because what we're going to do is we're going to pick out a lot of different kind of airports around Moncton, and then we'll do some flights into there, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think the PPL is going to be a little bit long, or not so much long, but I think it's going to take a little bit. Um, but we'll do that stuff, and then once we get to the CPL, we're going to get into some fun stuff, some fun flights. Then after that, it's the multi-engine and complex aircraft. So we'll do. I plan on using the Piper Seminole PA-44 for the multi-engine stuff. After that, we're going to do the IFR training. So we'll go through all that stuff, um, and then once that's done, we'll get into the complex and high performance aircraft. So I plan on using the King Air 350 or the C90B, one of the two, or even the 200 if they happen to come out with one. I love the King Airs. King Airs are great. So we're going to get into that stuff, and for that, yeah, I'm pretty excited for all that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so with all that, I don't want to keep the stream going too long here, but so yeah, that's pretty much a rundown of what we're going to be doing here. And I think it's good for me because I really want to work on my communication, my talking skills, and stuff like that. So I guess with all that, that kind of concludes the attitudes movement. So as we kind of go along, I think I'll get a little bit more into detail on stuff, and I'll kind of build up the courage to kind of talk a little bit more too. Um, so yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to see comments of stuff that you'd like, or things that you dislike, things that I should improve. I'm always looking for stuff like that. So yeah, definitely comment in the box there, and I'll definitely try to get to you as soon as I can. And like I said, for the next flight, it's going to be lesson 1, 2, straight and level, and yeah. So I hope to see you there. Nah, I'm saying peace.